Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And with the release of Terrifier 3, we officially have 4 movies in the Terrifier franchise. Not exactly all called Terrifier, as you will seem to come and notice, that we have now 4 films featuring Art the Clown. And in today's video, I felt like it was only right, just because Art the Clown is such a huge topic right now, it is only right that we go and rank his movies. So we've got All Hallows Eve, Terrifier 1, 2, and 3. So we've got 4 films to rank right now. So without further ado, I'm going to go rank these in my own opinion. Now, just make sure you know this is my opinion, so you're probably not going to agree with me, because I know a lot of people will definitely say when it comes to my number 1 that I am being a little bit biased. But anyway, it is my opinion. I don't care. This is my list. Let me know your list in the comments below, because obviously everyone's going to have different opinions. So if you do have a different opinion, make sure to let us know in the comments below. I'd really appreciate hearing your opinions. Without further ado, I'm going to get into my opinion, my number 4 out of the 4 films. Now, at the bottom of the list, I unfortunately have All Hallows Eve. Now, All Hallows Eve is definitely more of a, old school film. I mean, you can definitely see the quality difference in comparison to, let's say, Terrifier 3. But that is just down to the budget, and that is nothing bad on Damien Leone's part or anyone in that crew's part. I personally think this is a really solid film with the budget they had and ultimately everything they had going for them in this film. I think it's still a really solid film. It was the origin of Art the Clown, technically, with the Terrifier short, along with the first short film that is The Ninth Circle. So when it comes to this, it's a really cool origin story. I mean, it is really cool the fact that we have some callbacks to it in Terrifier 3 as well. So I think it's really, really cool. And obviously when you watch the original Terrifier short and you watch the, Terrifier 1, I think it's really cool the fact that basically you can see the exact same scenes but with more budget to them. Specifically, the pizza parlor scene in Terrifier 1 is present in the Terrifier short film, which is really, really cool. But at the bottom of the list, unfortunately, is All Hallows Eve. And now at the number 3 spot, we might have a little bit of an interesting one, because I've gone for Terrifier 1. Now, Terrifier 1 for me is definitely the weakest of the trilogy in my opinion, but it is definitely grown on me after watching it in cinemas, because when I first watched Terrifier 1, I'll be real, I wasn't that big of a fan. I kind of just watched it for Art the Clown, kind of similar to a lot of people. So when it comes to Terrifier 1, I definitely feel that it was definitely sort of like not really much of a story base, but just basically to showcase Art the Clown and what he's capable of, which is very, very fair. I mean, it really did set Art the Clown alight in the world, especially that hacksaw scene, which really solidified it. So when it comes to that film, I definitely feel it does lack in story elements, but that is okay. I mean, it is what it is. I still enjoyed the film. I mean, I really did not like this film when I first watched it, but then I went to the double bill, which is the first time seeing Terrifier 1 and 2 in theaters, and honestly, I absolutely loved this film when I went to see it in theaters. It was a completely different experience, which is, in my opinion, always the better experience, seeing it in theaters. And I think that these films were meant to be in theaters from the get-go. But when it comes to this film, seeing it at home and seeing it in the theater is two completely different experiences. So in my opinion, if you have the chance to see Terrifier 1 and you didn't really like it, and you have the chance to see it in theaters, definitely go see it in theaters, because I think your opinion will probably change on it. But unfortunately, in comparison to the other 2 on this list, I definitely feel like it was the weakest of the 3, so that is why it's at the number 3 spot. And now we've got my number 2 spot, which is going to be very controversial. I know it, and I just know people are not going to agree with me, but I've actually got Terrifier 2. And I know a lot of people that this is their favorite of the trilogy, and I know that. But just on my opinion, this is just based on me, I am not the biggest fan of the fantasy elements when it comes to Terrifier 2, specifically the sword. I mean, when it comes to some of the elements of that, when you have like Sienna's like stomach glowing up when she's in like the clown cafe, I mean, it is very sci-fi. So when it comes to this film, I definitely feel like there's some elements in here that just are a little bit too sci-fi for me, and I'm not the biggest fan of sci-fi. So when it comes to that, I just feel like in comparison to Terrifier 3, I just kind of prefer Terrifier 3 in that way, because when it comes to Terrifier 2, it's still an amazing film. You still have the bedroom scene, you still have the acid scene, which are 2 absolutely iconic kills. I don't care what anyone says, that acid kill towards the end of the second film is iconic. Whatever you say, I don't care, it is. So in my opinion, I definitely feel that Terrifier 2 is absolutely amazing. I loved it, but there's some other elements regardless of story in Terrifier 2 that makes it a little bit worse than Terrifier 3 for me, and that is the pacing. I mean, we definitely have like, when you put a perspective, if you have seen Terrifier 3 and you know about Terrifier 2 being a very long film, Terrifier 3 is only 10 minutes shorter than Terrifier 2, and Terrifier 2 feels like a much, longer film, while Terrifier 3 is much, like, it feels much shorter. But when you actually compare the runtimes, it's only only 10 minutes in the difference, so I feel like the pacing of Terrifier 2 is a little bit slow in comparison to Terrifier 3. Now, is that basically Terrifier 2 being slow, or is that Terrifier 3 being a fast-paced film? I don't exactly know, but for me, I definitely feel that I just prefer Terrifier 3 on that level. Terrifier 2 is still an absolutely amazing film, but when it comes to Terrifier 3 in comparison, I just think that Terrifier 2 just falls that little bit short. And obviously, when it comes to my number one spot, it is of course the newest one, Terrifier 3. Now, a lot of people are definitely going to say, oh Carl, you're just saying this because of recency bias, and yes, that might be the case, but I've seen this film twice now, and I absolutely loved it. I actually loved it more on second watch. I might actually have to go see it for a third time. I absolutely adore this film. The kills in this film are perfect. The story is very, very strong in my opinion. I definitely feel that we're lacking some origin of Art the Clown for sure, but the story in this film honestly holds up really, really nicely, and also the character of Vicky is a super cool character. I definitely feel that in some occasions she steals the show from Art the Clown, which is awesome. I mean, I do prefer Art the Clown, but I think Vicky is an awesome protagonist in this, well, antagonist in this film. So when it comes to this, I definitely just prefer Terrifier 3 at the top of my list, just purely in the fact that I like everything about this film. It's paced really well. The acting in this film is much better than Terrifier 2 as well. Art the Clown is as scary as he's ever been and the funniest he's ever been by a mile. Sienna, obviously, Lauren Lavera is obviously as strong as she's ever been. Comparing to Terrifier 2, there is a huge improvement of acting skill there. I mean, as she said in her own interview, she is basically taking inspiration from Mia from Evil Dead 2013, and you can definitely see those elements for sure. So when it comes to Terrifier 3, I just prefer that little bit more just based on the fact that how much better paced it is, the story is better, acting better. In my opinion, other than the bedroom scene, every single kill in Terrifier 3 beats every kill in Terrifier 2. The bedroom scene is just way too good to beat it, to be honest though. In my opinion, I definitely feel like Terrifier 3 is by far the strongest of the franchise, and it is only a huge stepping stone to what Terrifier 4 is going to be. I mean, when you add on everything that's been shown in Terrifier 3 and then only add to it in Terrifier 4, I mean, we could be set up for one of the greatest, you know, quadrilogies, if you say, in a long time for horror. I mean, you definitely had the X trilogy, which in my opinion fell flat on Maxine, but when it comes to this trilogy, obviously you have Terrifier 1, which fell flat for a lot of people, but I still really enjoy it. Terrifier 2 is a really solid entry, and Terrifier 3 is amazing. So when it comes to Terrifier 4, there's going to be a lot of hype surrounding that film and a lot of pressure on the crew to make it a really solid film, but I am without a doubt excited for that film. I definitely think it's going to be even better than Terrifier 3, but that is ultimately my ranking of the Terrifier films. Got All Hallows Eve, Terrifier 1, Terrifier 2, and Terrifier 3, so technically in chronological order is my ranking. So that is my opinion. I know I'm not going to have the, you know, most popular opinion when it comes to Terrifier 2 being second, but let me know in the comments below what your opinion is. I mean, that's the whole thing about horror. That's why I love it so much, because there's so many different opinions when it comes to horror films, and I know that it's definitely the most divisive genre of film in my opinion. However, the one question we have for the end of this video is, what is your favorite kill of the Terrifier franchise? I mean, at the end of every video, I'm now going to incorporate a single question to ask you guys. So in my opinion, what is your favorite kill in the Terrifier franchise? Now for me, it's obviously the bedroom scene is the best and goriest, but for me, the best kill of the entire franchise for me is gonna be the construction worker in Terrifier 3. I'm not gonna say anything more because there will be people who, you know, haven't exactly seen the film yet. So yeah, the box cutter scene is what we're gonna call it from Terrifier 3, in my opinion, is my favorite kill of the franchise. But thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate every single last one of you taking the time in your day to hear me waffle about Terrifier. But of course, have the most amazing day, stay safe. If you like anything to do with horror, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and of course, have the most amazing day, stay safe, and peace. First shot of this episode, Tammy picks this house.
Oh, what about that one?
Now, if you ask me, that is the, you know, worst house you can pick. It has wallpaper on the outside.